Welcome to TrashcanTV Hearthstone. Today we have the full Legendary Disenchanting guide for this game of Hearthstone. For every beginner, this is what you need to know about what legends to keep, what legends to dust. A question that we've been getting almost more than any other throughout our budget series when a lot of beginners started watching our stuff, which we appreciate, was that I have this and this card, should I keep it or should I dust it to use that dust to craft something else? Today we want to answer that question for you. Now, before we get into every single card, one really quick disclaimer. This is not going to directly respect cards whether they are rotating soon or they're rotating next year. It's going to be about how valid this card is and is going to be for gameplay. Now what you should do is to be efficient as a standard player. When a card rotates, you dust it. If you're playing only standard, you're not interested in playing wild, once the card rotates, you dust it. So in this case, for example, it would be more probable, as you can see there, to dust the Ixalit because it's rotating in April, than it is to dust the Gonk, maybe. But we're not going to take that into consideration for this one. We have 5 categories for these cards. Definitely keep, probably keep, undecided, definitely probably dust, and then definitely dust. All of these cards we're going to drop into one of those categories. The middle one, the neutral one, decide is the one. Make it dependent on your situation. Are you interested in playing it? Or do you think you have the stuff? Like, do you have a lot of stuff that could potentially go around this card in the deck? Do you want to, and how bad is your need for dust right now? So let's start from the top. We got Druid first. Floop's Glorious Gloop. Valid card, not necessarily played right now. Probably keep. Jungle Giants, gonna rotate out soon, but alright, doesn't matter that much. Not played a lot, probably disenchant. War Druid Lodi, very versatile, hasn't seen play that much yet, but can become something, probably keep. Flabidinous Floop, very versatile, definitely keep. Twig of the World Tree, can be useful, but weakened with Druid Ramp, probably keep. Duskfallen Aviana, terrible card, definitely dust. Ixalit, Fungal Lord, very fringe card, probably dust. Gonk the Raptor, make up your mind. Malfurion the Pestilent, very strong hero, definitely keep. Splinter Graft, never really seen play, definitely dust. Cenarius, classic 1, so that's a little bit more valuable. Make up your mind, but I would tend to probably keep because it stays around forever. Hedronox used to be better when Druid was good, but in itself, a good effect. I'd say make up your mind on it. How close are you to playing this archetype, and how much are you going to use it? And but you're probably going to end up disenchanting this sooner rather than later, specifically when it rotates out. Tyrantus looks cool, but kind of too weak to be playable and constructed. Probably disenchant. Getting into Hunter. First one is the Marsh Queen, the Hunter Quest. People were high on this card when it came out, but it really never worked out all that well. This is never going to dominate the meta, I can say that with decent certainty. Probably dust. Howlmaster Shawl, very strong card, keep it. Professor Putricide, interesting one, I think, from the Frozen Throne. Sometimes put in Secret and Spell Hunters, but very rarely. Probably dust. Halazi the Lynx, can't judge it really well because it's very recent, so probably keep, to err on the side of caution. Deathstalker Rexar, one of the strongest cards in the game, you keep it. Boommaster Flarg, probably dust, never been impactful. Rock Delar, probably keep it, it's really good in Spell Hunter. Swamp King Dread, inconsistent effect but good stat line. Make up your mind on whether you want to play it. I would tend to probably dusting it because I've never seen it work. Flarg's Boomzuka, not gonna happen, dust this card. Kathrena Winterwisp, really good. You probably want to keep this. As a matter of fact, I would say keep it. King Crush, it's a classic card, so that's always a boost towards keeping it. It has been played this year and somewhat recently as well, so I'm not going to tell you to dust this card. You should probably keep it. Emeris, very strong effect. It has potential, but it never worked out so far. I'd say make up your mind on this one and kind of take a gamble on whether you think it will end up working out. I don't think it will. I would dust it if I had it, but you can also try and hold on to this. Zul'jin is a strong hero effect who's going to stick around for a long time. Keep this card. Next is Mage. Open the Way Gate. The worst card in the game. I hate this. Not because it's the weakest card in the game, but I hate it with all my heart and soul. That being said, it's soul crushing to lose to this deck, but it's not a very dominant or strong card. You should probably dust it. Archmage Arrogal. People thought this was gonna be pretty good, but it's really not seen that much play. Probably dust. Pyros. Very versatile, used in control sometimes. Is going to rotate soon, but has the effect of providing a lot of value for you. Make up your mind on it. If you're not specifically playing the deck where it goes into, control Elemental Mage, probably dust. Stargazer Luna, good draw option for Tempo Mage, probably keep that around. Aluneth, also very good in Tempo Mage, not much else, it really only good for one deck. If you're playing a deck, then keep the card. If not, then decide whether you might want in the future. I'd say probably keep. Togi Time Tinker, you gotta dust this card. It's too inconsistent unless you want a meme, but it's not gonna be competitive. Archmage Antonidas is the worst person I've ever met in my life, but it's pretty decent, and I actually have a copy of this. I'm very ashamed to admit it, but I have it. I didn't dust it. You want to keep this guy around because he's gonna do things forever. Janline the Dragonhawk, one of the better cards from the entire Rastkhan's expansion. You want to keep this card. Luna's Pocket Galaxy. People have tried to make this work, including us. We've had decks trying to make this work. I'd say make up your mind on this. There might come around a mage deck where this works out. Right now, it's not really the value, but yeah, pass your own judgment. Hexlord Malakras. The effect isn't that good because it kind of has anti-synergy with itself, if that makes sense at all. Because typically in the late game, you don't want the cards in your hand that you want in the early game. So I'd say probably dust this. Syndragosa, decent effect, can be a good valid option in control mages. Make up your mind on whether you want to run it. If you're on a pinch, I tend towards dusting this stuff. Dragoncaller Alana, same as Syndragosa. Frosted Jaina, really good hero card, you're keeping it around. Paladin, the Last Kaleidosaur. If you have a heart, you keep this card. If you're me, or anything like me, you dust it, because I've dusted this before. It's not good, I love it, but you're gonna have to kill the Last Kaleidosaur. I'm sorry, if you're gonna be efficient, gotta go. Crystalsmith Kangor, you want to keep this card around. This has been doing big things in even Paladin, since especially the Rastkhan's Rumble expansion with Thekkel. Keep it around. Speaking of Thekkel, keep this guy, he's good. The Glass Knight, I've been seeing it every once in a while. I'd say make up your mind on this if it's valuable to you. If not specifically, then you can dust this. Bulba Fireblood, cool character in the Warcraft storyline, but not a good Hearthstone card. Dust it. Prince Liam can be played in Odd Paladin and might have some versatility later on. I would say probably dust, but if you are not in the pinch for dust right now and you want to gamble, you can keep it around. Sunkeeper Terram, very, very strong. One of the most impactful cards this game has ever seen. Keep it around. Valanir is playable, slightly hit by the nerf to Saronite Chain Gang, but I'd say probably keep it unless you really badly need dust and don't plan to play it. Kangor's Endless Army, same as Valanir, I would say keep it around, see how it develops over the next year when the 3 expansions rotate and we get a new meta. Probably keep it around and for the value. Lanessa, I would say probably dust, can be strong, but the problem is the deck that it tends to be strong in is the Quest Paladin, which is inherently a bad deck, so Lanessa has to go. Tyrion Fordring, classic, iconic, keep it around, it's always good. Uther of the Avonblade, recently resurrected from the grave, which it was in since when it came out, only now started being good. If you want to still play this, maybe play it in Wild, keep it around. Once it rotates, of course, you want to dust it, but right now, I think it's worth probably keeping it. Shawal the Tiger, keep this card, very high value, and even enable some combos. Getting into the Priest, Awaken the Maker is the Priest quest. Make up your mind on this one. It can work, can be decent, not meta breaking, never been the best deck, but it's definitely playable if you're about that life. Chameleos can go to the garbage can. Dragon Soul can follow Chameleos into the garbage can. Lyra the Sunshard, very, very good, keep that around. Lady in White, people have been dying to make this work. It never has so far. I'll say if you're not in the pinch, you don't need to dust terribly. You keep this card, take a gamble on it, but essentially make up your mind. Xeric Master Cloners, kind of the same idea for Lady in White. It's tough to make work. Not gonna have the audacity to claim to know whether it will work or not. Make up your own mind. Benedictus, decent in Quest Priest, but doesn't provide a lot of value. Probably dust. And Disenchanting the Dead, tough to judge, a very new card, but right now I say probably dust. If you don't really need it though, you can take a shot in keeping it around for a little bit, see how it develops. Prophet Valen, you want to keep this guy around, he's always going to be good. Tempors is funny but terrible, dust. Talanji kind of lives and dies with Disenchanting, so the same thing applies for her. If you want to maybe gamble on this working at some point, you can keep it for a while. I tend to probably dust this. Shadow Reaper Anduin, like basically all the Death Knight heroes, is good, you want to keep them. And Xeric's Cloning Gallery, make up your mind. It works in a Fringe deck and it's a pretty key card in that. How much that's still going to be the case next expansion or next year, I'm not so sure about it, so decide on yourself. Getting into Rogue, and Rogue has a bunch of interesting ones. King's Bane. At this point, this card is probably dust, because it has been hit by a lot of nerfs. Not directly, but indirectly. Caverns Below. How do you judge a card like... Honestly, I have no idea. It's the Rogue Quest. It's the Rogue Quest. I have no idea what to do with this card. I'm gonna place it in the middle to make up your mind, because I don't want to be held responsible for anything concerning this card. Edwin Van Cleef, keep the card. It's classic legend. It's always good. Face Collector, underperforming Witchwood card. It has random in it, so it's probably never going to be dominant or meta breaking. If you're not collecting any card if you're not trying to collect every card in the game, probably dust. Sonya Shadow Dancer, kind of the same idea as Face Collector. You're not trying to collect everything, probably dust, because it's not going to be worth keeping it around. Lillian Boss, definitely dust. It's a bad card. Shadows and Corpse Flower, people have been trying to make it work. It's a bad card. Dust this, it's not happening. Growl the Shark looks bad. Has high potential with the darkness. However, the darkness rotates. I would tend to dusting this, but that is a high risk move. Myra, been around since the Boomsday Project. Unfortunately, tends to underperform because of the RNG. Probably dust. Myra's Unstable Element, I would keep this around probably, because it tends to perform really well in aggressive rogues, and those are always going to be a thing, so probably keep it. Captain Hook Tusk, probably dust, but there might be an upside to this, I'm not seeing it. Tess Greymane, people thought this was going to be Yoxeron, it's not, it's bad, dust. And Valera the Hollow, arguably the worst Death Knight hero. I want to say make up your own mind, but I'm tending towards probably dusting this card. Unite the Murlocs, the Shaman quest. One of the weaker quests, haven't really seen it, probably dust. Electro Storm Surge, you should keep this card around, it's very good. Zantimo, same thing with Electro, you should keep this. Thrall, Death Seer, probably dust at this point, used to be good during the Evolved days, not anymore. Grumble World Shaker, probably keep it. Worked with Shutterwalk before that, not so much, and we'll have to see what happens, but be on the safe side, err on the side of caution, and keep this card. Krogwa the Frog, probably keep it. We haven't seen much, but it has potential. Moravi is terrible, dust. The Stormbringer is pretty bad and inconsistent, dust. Alakir the Windlord, classic legend, probably keep. Hagatha the Witch, very good hero, you keep this card. Calamos, you keep the card. The Rune Spear, it's a bad weapon, it's dust. And finally, Shutterwalk. Hurts me in the soul, but I'm gonna say make up your mind on whether you want to actually try to make this guy work. Used to be great, now very inconsistent. I'm just not sure how this will develop at all, because it's so sensitive to development of the meta and what cards are coming to the game. I would say erring on the side of caution is the good idea and keeping it around for now, but depends on your personal taste. Lakari Sacrifice is a terrible quest, it's dust. The Solarium is a very, very good card for aggressive warlocks. Do you want to keep this? Clutch Mother, Zavas, probably Dust. People have been trying out this card, and the fact is though that it will never be competitive. Probably Dust unless you want to meet. High Priestess Jeklik, one of the better discount synergies so far. Still probably Dust because the mechanic's bad. Blood Queen Lanethel, Dust. Skull of the Minari, good card, keep it around, highly valuable in cube. Glenna Krowskin, make up your mind. It hasn't worked so far, but there is fun combos to do with it. I don't believe it will ever rise to the top and be incredible. I would tend to dusting it, but you can try to keep it if you want to. And finally, Rin the First Disciple. If you're really in the pinch, this is probably Dust, but I would want to say make up your mind. It can work in Controlled Warlock. It really is inconsistent though. Lord Godfrey is a good card, probably keep it. Dr. Morgan is terrible, it's Dust. Same, terrible, Dust. Lord Jiraxis, at this point you probably want to dust him even though he's a classic legendary. There's just too many ways to be susceptible to stuff with 15 maximum health at the point that Hearthstone is at right now, so Jiraxis is unfortunately not very viable anymore. And Blood Reaver Gul'dan is very, very strong, you keep him. Getting to the Warrior, Fireplume's Heart seems one of the stronger quests. I would keep this around and at least experiment with it. Probably. Warmaster Voon, this card has high potential, but very tough to make work. I'm not sure about the Dragon Warrior. I'd say make up your own mind. I would err on the side of caution, keep it until next expansion, but it might end up as Dust. Darius Crowley is very, very strong, you keep this card. Blackhole Gunspire is not going to work out for you to be competitive, Dust. Dr. Boom, Mad Genius, probably keep this card, very good in Control Warrior. Akali the Rhino, probably keep just to see what it can do. Geosculptor Yip, probably Dust at this point. Was played in a fringe deck called the Recruit Hunter a while back, but ultimately not valuable enough to keep. And finally, Grommash Hellscream. It's a classic card, so it's always going to stick around, heightening its value. I'd say probably keep it because of mainly that reason, and it does tend to show up here and then being valuable in certain decks, so probably keep. And finally, oh, it's not the neutral land, still Warriors. Rot Face, Dust, random. Scourge Lord Garrosh, one of the little weaker Death Knight heroes. At this point, probably Dust. Woe Cleaver, probably Dust. King Mosh, kind of similar as with Swamp King Dread. It can work, but Controlled Warrior hasn't really gone back to this, even though it's odd. They still haven't used it, and if that's not the case, then really it's not going to see much play. Probably Dust. Finally, the legendary spell, the Boom Ship. Haven't seen it work, probably Dust. Now, we're getting into the neutral ones. Bloodmage Dalnose, iconic card, keep it. Lord Walker Cho is terrible, Dust. Terrible, Dust. Actually dusted, crafted, and then dusted again. That's how terrible it is. I'm just kidding. Nat Pagal is Dust. Prince Kaliseth is mana defining, very, very good, keep it. King Mukla is any Mecha'thun Druid's worst nightmare off of Build a Beast. In and of itself, it's not that good, probably Dust. Prince Talaram, make up your mind on how you want to use this. So it's not a definite keep like Kaliseth, it's not a definite Dust like Valanar will be. Make up your mind, do you want to use it, yes or no? Tigmaster Overspark is probably Dust at this point. Zola the Gorgon, very versatile, probably keep it. Arthas, though it's a cool card, it's probably Dust. Grifta is Dust. Harbinger Celestia is Dust. Prince Valanar is Dust. Spirit Singer Umbra, make up your mind. It can be versatile in certain like cube decks that work with Death Rattle. Death Rattle Hunter does not run this, which means it's probably not going to be very viable, but if you want to be cautious, then you keep it around. The Darkness is unfortunately Dust. This has never been really working out. The Vortex is Dust. The Weaponized Pinata does have the keyword Legendary in it, which is why it shows up. Whizbang the Wonderful, you definitely want to keep this because of its versatility. Captain Greenskin. Make up your mind on this one. It really works mostly in Rogue, Pirate Warrior not being a thing anymore at this point. I would tend to dust this, but it's a classic one, so you can take your chance on it as well. Bowmaster Dorian unfortunately has never worked out, and there's no reason to believe it will. Probably dust. At least the Trailblazer always shows up every once in a while in control decks. I'll keep her around for now, see if you can make her work. You're gonna dust her when Angora rotates. Harrison Jones you want to keep, very versatile, always shows up in decks, and it's a classic card. Leroy Jenkins definitely keep, one of the more iconic ones, always finds his way into aggro decks, very versatile. Subject 9 you want to keep, enables the strongest archetypes in the game right now, definitely keep. Ziliax absolutely keep, the definition of versatility in terms of mech stuff, probably the best card from the Boomsday Project, keep him around. Karen Bloodhoof, probably keep, but doesn't see a lot of play. Very good value, but at the point where Hearthstone is right now with the power creep, not that much in terms of play, but it's always going to be playable. Gang Greymane, you want to keep him, central card of the game. Hammett Jungle Hunter, probably dust unless you're planning to play very fringe decks. Hogwarts dust. Illidan Stormrage at this point, unfortunately, is probably dust. Mojo Master Zihi, I despise this card with all my being, I hate it. You want to keep this card around because this card is going to do big things. The Beast is terrible, dust. The Black Knight, definitely keep it, it's very versatile, always pops up in the meta and you're going to get used to this sooner or later. Azalina is probably dust, but you could err on the side of caution and make up your own mind on it. Baron Geddon is very tough to judge. I would say make up your mind. We've seen it work in Big Spell Mage. We haven't seen it work too much in anything else. And with Jaina rotating out, I believe this card is going to take a dump. However, it is a classical one. So, yeah, really pass your own judgment on this one. I wouldn't keep it. Countess Ashmore. Now, this card is one that I've always been very divided on. Because it looks very, very good. It hasn't been made work yet. I'd say pass your own judgment. I, at this point, am not convinced by this card anymore. The Undertaker. Highly anticipated when Rastkhan's came out, but I haven't seen much off of it. I would say probably keep it because, like Shutterwalk, this is going to be very, very sensitive to changes that happen and new cards that are going to be released, potentially making this good in the future. Gruul is pretty bad, dust. Pogwaggle is pretty bad. There is archetypes with it, but probably dust. Lich King is one of the best cards in the game. You want to keep this guy. Alexstrasza, always versatile, very, very good in Control Priest and other control decks, keep it around. Bakul, again, central card of the game, keep. Malagos, kind of like Alexstrasza, keep, always finds a spot in the deck at some point. Master Oakheart, I'd say probably keep, but you have to build the right deck around him. Nosdormu is the only dragon aspect that's really has no place at all, still being played, dust. Onyxia, I would say probably dust at this point, but you could just keep it if you don't have much else. You want to put it in as a big value option in the late game. Udasa is pretty good, you keep that card. Osrook is terrible, unfortunately you want to dust this. And finally, last four, you got Ysera. Always a value machine, will always be good in control, keep this card. Same goes for Deathwing, very, very good card. At some points, Hakar is very experimental. You can keep this around if you're going to try to make this work. However, if you're banking on this being good in a year from now, at some point, just hoping you'll get the value out of it, then you might as well dust it, because that is unlikely. And finally, Mecha'thun, kind of the same with Hakar. I like this a little bit better, because it seems a little more definitive as a combo. Ultimately, make up your mind on this. I recently decided to craft it because I thought I can make it work somehow. There's going to be a lot of ways over the next year to make it work, even though it's doubtful that it will ever dominate the meta. So that's all the cards. That is all the legendary cards that are currently in Hearthstone. We are going to, upon demand, or probably anyway, make this video again after the next rotation, because about half of these cards will be gone. Almost. And there's going to be new ones from the next expansion, so to keep you up to date, adjust this for every expansion that comes out. You can see in the graphic there, I'm going to show this graphic again, all the cards that you can safely disenchant, and all the cards that you can probably disenchant. So what I would do in your spot, or go through my collection, look at all these cards that are on that list to safely disenchant or to probably disenchant, and dust those cards. Unless some of them I actually have in decks that I'm trying to currently experiment with. And the other ones, again, make up your mind for those ones. And those very good ones, you definitely want to keep those around. That's going to help you. At some point, you're going to want them when you start building new decks, start making progress, making some more dust in Hearthstone. You start trying to experimenting with more archetypes. Cards like Ziliax, you know, the versatility will always find a way to be played. Definitely worth keeping. So, I hope you appreciated this video. JJ, you haven't said much today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Oh, that's good. That's really, really good. But thank you. He's been sitting there the whole time, by the way. I'm not clicking. I'm just talking. He's doing the computer work. So gotta appreciate these guys that do the computer work as well behind the scenes. Not really. There really isn't a scene at all. Thank you for watching. Leave a like for our work. We would appreciate a subscription to our channel as well. Well, if you got a subscription, we already have one. But you're gonna miss a lot of stuff if you don't do that, because we're doing almost weekly Hearthstone news whenever something pops up. We're the first there, not the first. We're there to cover it, and we're going to do it reliably and concisely, maybe. And we also recently did a budget series, which means that we have a deck for every single class in the game that is budget friendly, very beginner friendly. If you haven't looked at that yet, go check that out. There should be a link in the description to that series. There should also be an info card, and you should find it on our channel. On our playlist section, on our channel, or just recent videos. There's budget videos for every class. Go find the deck, and go follow the guide that we recently released, or are going to release with this video, this Disenchanting video, on how to build up your collection if you're somewhat new to Hearthstone. Really all that you need to know in this video and that one that I just talked about. The how to build your collection, how to manage your dust well, how to deal with your cards. It's kind of the sister video to this one, so go check that out as well. And I think you're pretty well set for your Hearthstone future with that. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. We answer them all. Try to help as many people as possible, and thank you for watching. We're gonna see you in the next one. JJ.
That's it.
That's it.